Konami's return to AAA gaming has been eagerly anticipated by many fans out there, and Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is at the forefront of this comeback. This remake of the beloved Metal Gear Solid 3 promises to be a faithful recreation while introducing some modern enhancements. As more details do emerge from different hands-on previews, developer insights, and so much more, it's clear that Konami is committed to honouring the original while making some very thoughtful updates. So, here are 10 things that you need to know about Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater prior to its release this August. Konami has made it very clear from the outset that Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater will be a faithful remake of the original Metal Gear Solid 3. The game will still retain the same core structure, including the original voice recordings, level design, and even the narrative flow. According to producer Noriaki Okamura, there were discussions about adopting a modern open world design, but the decision was actually made to preserve the original framework. This means that fans can expect the same meticulously crafted environments and mission progression that made the original game such a classic. The story has also remained intact and unchanged, and that will make a ton of fans happy and extremely excited. I don't really want to touch on how the story goes as of today's video, as I really don't want to spoil it for any of you newcomers, but this is one game and story that you should not miss. Visually, Metal Gear Solid Delta is a showcase for Unreal Engine 5's capabilities. Whilst we've seen some games really struggle with the engine, it looks like Konami have really taken this engine under their belt and it looks bloody incredible. The jungle environments are richer and more detailed than ever before, with denser foliage, deeper swamps, and even sharper textures that push the atmosphere far beyond what we experienced in the original entry. But the graphical leap isn't just about static detail, it's also about its fluidity. In Delta, the shift from gameplay to cutscenes is utterly seamless. For instance, in one reimagined sequence shown in Konami's behind the scenes updates, Snake recovers his backpack from a tree. In the original, control was temporarily removed while the scene was playing out. Now the action flows directly from player control to the cinematic without a break, and that really enhances the overall immersion. Beyond the visual overhaul though, the remake does include a range of quality of life improvements. One notable addition is the ability to pause your cutscenes, something that's been long requested by players who didn't want to miss crucial moments if they had to step away. Another updated feature is the new game selection system. Where the original Snake Eater only allowed a handful of starting options, expanded slightly in the Substance version, Delta will instead offer a wider range. Players can choose to align their starting bonuses with different entries in the franchises, from Peace Walker to the Phantom Pain, unlocking themed camouflage patterns like DPM, banana print, or even grenade designs. There's even an option tailored for all of you newcomers, bundling all 3 of these camos at the very start. Also, it is worth mentioning that in keeping with modern gaming trends, Delta will also include a brand new photo mode. This will then allow us to capture in-game movements using adjustable camera controls, that meaning altering focus, depth of field, angles, and exposure, before enhancing shots with different filters, frames, and effects. Once perfected, these can be saved and shared, letting us all showcase both the beauty and the chaos of our own missions in our own style. In a great nod to the original's game design, Metal Gear Solid Delta will retain the loading screens between each area. While some fans out there might have hoped for a more seamless transition between environments, the remake will stick to the segmented approach of the original entry. Each area will remain its own instance, complete with loading screens as you move from one to the next. While this might disappoint those looking for modernized transitions, it is actually a deliberate choice to preserve the classic feeling of the overall experience. For those of you out there who are feeling really nostalgic though, there's also what's called a legacy mode, and that puts the game into the fixed camera angle of the older Metal Gears. Of course, there are large improvements to the UI and some extra added bits here and there, but design as a whole has been largely unchanged. Another area where Metal Gear Solid Delta does introduce some great modern enhancements is in the movement department. Crouch walking, a feature introduced in Metal Gear Solid 4 and also Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, is now available in this brand new remake. This addition makes sneaking through enemy territories more fluid and strategic. However, early previews do suggest that while the movement is certainly improved, it doesn't quite reach the fluidity of the Phantom Pain, so you can expect a little bit of jankiness like we experienced in the original entries. Nonetheless, the inclusion of crouch walking is a welcome update, and it brings the gameplay closer to those modern day standards. When it does come to visuals, Metal Gear Solid Delta is shaping up to be a stunning game. The remake will offer players 2 graphical modes right out the gate upon its launch, that being a quality mode targeting dynamic 4K resolution at 30 frames per second, and a performance mode which is aiming for 1080p at 60 FPS. These options do ensure that players can choose between higher visual fidelity or smoother gameplay, and that's totally depending on your own preference. With the game still in development though, these settings might see further refinements, but the promise of a 60 FPS mode will please many of us out there, including myself. I will say though that if you're on the Xbox Series S consoles, no facts or figures have been given at the moment in terms of modes, which does suggest that you may be locked to a fixed resolution, and I reckon it'll be 1080p at 30 FPS, like we do see in other modern day titles releasing on that platform. In the original Metal Gear Solid 3, camouflage was a vital part of staying hidden, but switching between outfits meant pausing the game and tediously navigating multiple different menus. Well, Metal Gear Solid Delta does streamline that process with a quick select system. By holding the up button on your D-pad, you'll be able to instantly cycle through all available camo options without interrupting gameplay. This change looks to make it far easier to adapt to changing environments in real time, preserving the fluidity of different stealth encounters. In the build that many have tested out there was no way to customize camo presets or arrange them in preferred order, but even so, the new system does mark a major improvement over the original slower menu-driven approach. Inventory management has also been given a similar overhaul. When picking up a new weapon or piece of equipment, an on-screen prompt will let players know that has been directly added to their quick selected list. I have to say, by removing the constant need to dig through different pause menus, Delta looks to keep the focus on the field, really maintaining the immersion and pacing while reducing tedious downtime. During a recent Konami showcase, a Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater online multiplayer mode was actually revealed. Called Fox Hunt, this original new mode is set to broaden the franchise's core stealth elements, where players must utilize their environments to camouflage and evade opposing players. The Fox Hunt producer spoke on the online multiplayer mode for Snake Eater and put emphasis on the fact that while many think of Metal Gear Online, this is very much its own original experience, saying that the landscape of multiplayer games has changed a lot since Metal Gear Online. While the Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater base game is set to launch this August, the Konami website in a moment does show that this thrilling hide-and-seek based completely original multiplayer mode is expected to arrive in fall 2025. So it currently looks like Fox Hunt will follow the game's launch and will come sometime later this year. I will be watching out for a concrete release date, and I'll bring you some updates as soon as they come. You may remember, but the original Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater for the PlayStation 2 did feature a minigame known as Snake vs Monkey, and it essentially tasked Snake with capturing a bunch of rambunctious monkeys from the Ape Escape series. Completing this mode and getting the high score in every level did reward us players with the monkey mask and also banana camouflage systems. Since the Ape Escape franchise does belong to Sony, Snake vs Monkey was absent from subsequent releases like the Metal Gear Solid HD Collection and Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater 3D due to their respective appearances on our Xbox consoles. This is also the case though with Delta on our Xbox consoles, as we won't be getting Ape Escape, but Konami has instead replaced this minigame with a new one solely for us Xbox gamers. What the Bomberman minigame actually entails and what rewards it might still provide does remain a mystery, but it's great to see us Xbox owners getting a lovely perk in our copies of this game. Honestly, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is really shaping up to be a faithful yet modernized remake of a beloved classic, but I am curious, are you going to be diving into this one later this August? You'll have to let me know down below. Remember to like this video if you did enjoy it, and subscribe for more Xbox content every single day. Whilst you're here though, why don't you check out the video on screen now? I covered the exclusive gameplay reveal of Exomecha. Yes, the Titanfall inspired FPS that did go quiet for quite a few years has finally returned, and you won't want to miss it when it launches early next year.